As memorial of Wednesday was filled with the good, the bad, and the ugly of killings at the Lekki Toll Plaza. We'll be talking about all of it today and ask the question, has anything changed 1 year after?
We'll also take a look at the papers, like always. An analyst would be joining us this morning for that.
Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us on a Thursday morning here on PlusTvAfrica. It's The Breakfast, and I am Osaugie Ogbawa. Good morning.
And I am Messi Bopo. Good morning.
Of course, with all the drama yesterday, we have a lot to talk about concerning the End SARS protest and the memorial, really, and the events from yesterday, the reactions from persons who were on ground, journalists, and, of course, the police. And we very likely will be speaking with some of those people who, witnessed a lot of the, happenings yesterday. The big question, really, is, has anything changed? And I'm sure you already know the answer to that. But, of course, we'll be having people join us to share their views on what really is different between, the last 1 year since the NSAS protest in 2020 and where we are today in 2021. But we'll start with the top trending stories and, of course, just share, the conversation still continues with regards police brutality and the respect for the rights of the Nigerian. For everyone who followed the events of yesterday and saw pictures, saw videos, for people who were on ground at the Lekki Toll Plaza, there's so much, that happened yesterday, and it felt like opening up old wounds. I saw a lot of the views and a lot of the reactions from people online who basically were saying about the same thing, that it doesn't seem like anything whatsoever is different about the way that the Nigerian police sees its citizens, And I saw a person, ask that question, how the Nigerian police doesn't understand, in any way, the responsibility that it has, and it always positions itself, as anti-people, and that's really what it is. The Nigerian police officers always see themselves as anti-people. They're almost never, feeling like they're responsible for the lives and for the protection of the people that they're called to serve. And they've continued to be that way. And 1 year after the NSAS protest, from my analysis, absolutely nothing has changed.
Definitely, nothing has.
Worse, we now have I'm not sure what group that is. LNCS, LN, the guys wearing purple shirts and brown trousers. It seems like they joined the fight yesterday, but.
Well, like you rightly mentioned, nothing has really acted port. It feels like we've just been making a hell of a noise and no one is listening. And it's quite unfortunate to even think that, it is constitutionally guaranteed that everyone has a right to a peaceful assembly. Why do you use tear gas on the people? The only time that would happen, because they do have a right to gather, they do have a right of association. And the only time that right, would pull, you find out that those who should protect the protesters.
They still don't seem to understand exactly what it is. And, I was referring to someone's statement earlier by Sam Hart. It says, why the Nigerian police sees themselves as oppressors of the people is beyond me. How can your entire setup and MO be anti-people? Who led you to believe the force in your title is reserved for the people? How can we reorientate the police to be for the people? And that's really what it is. And this transcends from the top to the bottom, from the Commissioner of Police all the way down to, what are these people called? The LNCS, LNSC, let's see if I can find the Lagos State Neighborhood Agency. I'm not even sure who those people are. But I know I've seen those people.
There are people in our society. I mean, they're still part of the country. They're still part of the system entirely.
But I'm not sure exactly what their responsibility is. And if they are meant to be a part of the policing system, I've seen those uniforms, and I see them every now and then in junctions, Admiralty Gate entrance there, and some of all of that. But I'm not sure why. And it's one of the things that disgusts me and irritates me the most. Why do you have people who are not even police officers enforcing, dragging people into Black Marias and those police vans? And these are, once again, the Lagos State Neighborhood Agency. Who are they? And it is mind-blowing, the level of authority and the level of inhuman, guys, where I mean, you could have missed them in the drama that happened yesterday. They were a part of the whole process. You're not even in the police force. You're not even, I'm not even sure who you are in the first place. That's one angle. And I saw people saying yesterday that, okay, the LSNC has joined the battle. Because obviously you've now turned yourself and your organization. They put out a statement. I'm just going to quickly share. It says the management of the Lagos State Neighborhood Agencies has summoned its officers, captured struggling with fellow arrested in a viral video emanating from the scene of the NSAS anniversary. In the aftermath of the incident, the general manager of the agency, Prince Ifalade Oyekon, decried the conduct of the officers as he believed it was below the standard operating procedure of the agency, especially as it affects the protocol of arrest. As an agency striving to meet the role of the themes agenda of the governor of the state, the agency will not condone any form of indiscipline or actions capable of bringing it to disrepute, while it will, as a socially responsible management, give the officers opportunity for fair hearing. Consequently, the officers will face an internal orderly trial to determine their culpability in the said event.
First of all, one would expect that the Nigerian police force should understand what the Constitution talks about. I mean, I really do not understand, because we all know that we are, I mean, for every state, for every organization, there is a rule book. And for Nigeria, the Constitution is that book. We should abide and, obey what is written in the Constitution. So for me, I really don't understand if they don't understand.
It's not a lack of understanding. It is a disregard for whatever it is. And a disregard because the people on top, I'm talking from the Inspector General all the way down, will somehow, somewhere always take sides. You see the Lagos State Commissioner of Police coming, on live television to say that the people who were tear-gassed were hoodlums who came to hijack or who came to destroy, some of all of that. I mean, basically just, I would say lying, right there on camera.
I actually saw that statement, and, because it generated a lot of conversation in different spaces. And my concern was, we had the Plus TV team on ground. Could it also mean that, the people who went there, I mean, the crew, the reporter and the camera man,
so I think they know what they're doing. They obviously know what they're doing. And when they make these statements, it's to defend their actions. And it doesn't matter if they have to crazy. And it's important to state that in Oyo State, there was a protest yesterday. But these protesters were guarded by the police. They were escorted by the police. This is in Oyo State that has a governor, Seyi Makinde, compared to other states that also try to protest. And so you can see a clear difference between what the duty of an Uber driver who kept
particularly that's the one that got my
attention.
That's the one that got my attention. And like I rightly mentioned, it's really, really sad. The fact that we continue to enthrone impunity, we continue to enthrone lawlessness, we continue to act like rascals, we continue to act like people without a government, without a law. It is totally shameful. And I'm hoping that we get to a point where we understand. Now, even in the course of discharging your duties, we should behave like civil people. So let's even assume you're going to arrest, enforce an arrest. How do you even go about it? Why do you, because sometimes I just ask myself, why do we treat people like animals? I'm sure that the dogs would do better. Really, I don't know, but it's really, really sad. And I'm hoping that, we get to a point where we really, really understand that this is a democratic dispensation and that every state and just yesterday, just to chip this in, I mean, it wasn't like, because I was trying to monitor where the protest was, in different parts. And of course, it was a different thing entirely. But to even also notice that those who were protesting, I mean, those who cleaned the roads were also protesting yesterday. And at the end of the day, you had police force, you have members of the Nigerian police force, putting tear gas. How do you demanding for their pay?
People protest.
No, it's really sad.
I think I saw that story. There are people who protest, because of they've not been paid pensions or they've not been paid salaries for months. They get tear gassed in Nigeria. We'll have these discussions today, and of course, I'm sure you already know the answer to the question: has anything changed? But that's what we'll be talking about today. Some of the things, of course, that is part of our top trending stories this morning is from the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, who says that CNN, DJ Switch, and Amnesty International, I believe, should apologize to the Nigerian government, because they basically put out false narrative that there was a massacre at the Lekki Toll Plaza on the 20th of October in 2020. And I've also gotten to accept responsibility for anything. they will never, allow themselves to be held accountable. It includes the Zaria massacre, which I also saw trending yesterday, in Kaduna State. It includes every single time that the Nigerian government has failed to protect the lives and property of its citizens. There's reports by Fisayo Shoyombo. It's called Portraits of Blood and Tears, I think. There's also reports by the BBC. There's reports by CNN's Stephanie Busari that I saw a couple of days ago also, that basically tell, and show testimony of people who said that they were there. They saw that people actually died. They saw dead bodies. They saw people were shot in their chest. There's a guy who was even part of the videos that we saw yesterday who said he was shot in his chest. He survived. He's a vlogger. He survived and he was out again yesterday at any time. And so I don't expect the Nigerian government to own up because they would never agree to be held, to account as to, the loss of lives of the Nigerian, because the Nigerian government doesn't understand the value of the Nigerian life.
No, so at the end of the day, it just brings us, it brings to mind the fact that there's a total disconnect, that the government, the people who we elected, however, to represent our interests, there seems to be a disconnect, or there is a disconnect with the government and their own records, give them out. Yeah. So with all of this, how do you steal? One thing that I must really say is the fact that gradually we're moving away, we're drifting, and I'm hoping that,